Hi guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going back to normal for a while, and we're gonna go over the introduction to Aang's character arc and how it relates to the hero's journey in the Last Airbender series. So just a brief description about Aang is that he does not live the normal everyday life of someone like in comparison to Sokka and Katara. He grows up being raised by monks, and from what I can remember, there doesn't seem to be any sign of a strong mother figure in his life at all. I actually believe this has a huge impact on Aang's character arc and the way his character starts off the series. So, we're introduced to Aang by Katara going into a fit about mothering Sokka, basically. She's complaining about how she takes care of the household chores and everyday life at home, very much like a mother figure. And because of this, I find it funny and a little bit ironic that she is the one to, quote-unquote, open up the iceberg and release Aang and Appa from their 100-year sleep. Now, let's do a little backstory for Aang. In one of the future episodes, we find that Aang runs away from the monks when he finds out that he will be the new Avatar. And honestly, I hate to say this because I really love Aang, but a lot of these little details led me to believe that Aang's ordinary world, in reference to the hero's journey, is actually him living in a type of Peter Pan syndrome. We can see a few comparisons of him versus Peter Pan, and there are some similarities. The first being the obvious, that he doesn't want to grow up and take on so much responsibility at such a young age. And even though Peter Pan is a little bit rougher around the edges than Aang, Peter Pan does believe in magic. And also Peter Pan does show his soft side in the beginning. He also has Tinkerbell, who spreads magical fairy dust, while Aang has Appa, who, at least to others, is a magical flying bison. And we see that Aang gets called to be the Avatar prematurely, and his refusal of the call is when he flees with Appa and gets caught in a storm, and then his Avatar state freezes him in order to preserve their lives. So the other major point of Aang's character arc is that the first female we see him meet is Katara. And in my opinion, she represents more than just one archetype along the hero's journey for Aang. Firstly, and most importantly, just how Aang is her catalyst and mentor, she is Aang's catalyst and mentor. While Aang teaches Katara that she needs to overcome her fears that are holding her back from waterbending, Katara teaches Aang that even though he is fearless, he still needs someone to believe in him, and he still needs to be inspired to believe in himself. This in general is a very integral part of a childhood that I believe Aang is missing because he grew up without a strong mother figure. A real life example of how this might play out in someone else's life is something like, let's say there's a child that grows up to be super competitive, and let's say that the child fails the test in class. Well, an everyday normal response to that from a parental figure might be something like, well, it's just one test, or you'll get the next one, or mistakes happen, etc. But a mother figure who's healthy and benevolent, one who is tapped into the universe and follows her intuition, someone like Glinda from The Wizard of Oz, the Glinda the Good Witch of the North, she would probably say something encouraging, like, at least you tried and you put yourself out there. Because she knows that anything we fail at means that we're at least trying to step in the right direction. Even if we're not perfect, she knows that it's not about studying to be perfect, that it's about moving forward towards the light, even when it's not our best work, and even when we're not great at it. She knows that no one starts walking amazingly day one. She encourages any small crawl long before the walking starts. So anyways, this is what Katara provides for Aang. She is his supernatural mentor in a way, because he sees her as a magical being, and the mentor in the hero's journey is often portrayed as a supernatural entity. But really, let's clarify that it's not completely Katara that is the supernatural being for Aang. It's actually Katara's solid, unwavering belief that he has the ability to be the Avatar and save the world. That's his mentor, and that's the missing piece for him. We see that his character Flaw throughout the entire series is basically him doubting himself left and right. First, he can't earthbend. Then he blocks himself from using his firebending abilities. Then, of course, his long drawn-out anxiety built up over time about him not feeling capable enough to defeat the Fire Lord in the future. These are just a few examples of how his lack of belief in himself and the universe plagues him throughout the entire series. Alright, we've gone over Aang's call to adventure to prematurely be the Avatar, his refusal of the call, which is an outplay of his Peter Pan syndrome, and his supernatural mentor, when Katara believes in him and that he can save the world from the Fire Nation. So, the last step we'll cover today is the hero crossing the threshold. Now, oftentimes we'll see an incident that happens to make our hero cross the threshold out of their ordinary, safe world into the unknown world. For example, for Sokka, it was when Katara was ready to leave the family for Aang, and that he couldn't even come close to defeating Zuko on his own. For Katara, it was that she was so inspired to waterbend, and Aang convinced her to start letting go of her fears. And now for Aang, I believe that it's when he was forced into basically believing in himself, at least enough, to surrender himself to Zuko. He was forced into doing this because his sense of peace was disturbed when he saw that the Water Tribe was suffering at his expense. And this is when he leaves behind everything, even the fun penguins, to serve the higher good of all. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. And remember, this is just an introduction to Aang's arc. I'll probably be doing the intro to Zuko's character arc next episode. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if there's any side characters that you'd like me to do too. And that's all for now. I'll see you guys next time. Ciao, ciao, bye-bye.